Round 8 is done and dusted, and it's time for us to go through it. Come on! Hello and welcome back to Off the Mark, an AFL fantasy podcast. I'm Mason, and I'm doing a little solo episode today. Been a very, very busy week for both Casey and I, so we couldn't quite find a time to do it together. So I thought I'd take you through it myself here on a nice Tuesday night. Hopefully I can get this one out quick. I'll probably just upload this straight away and get it to you as soon as possible because it is Tuesday and we're pretty removed from round 8 now, but we haven't gone through it yet, so we're about to do that now, but I'll quickly take you through a recap of my team, and I might even try and see if I can get Casey's team up on here, although he did say to me before I started recording this today that it's probably not the worst idea that he didn't get to record today, because according to him, he had a shocker, and I haven't looked at his team yet, but I guess we'll figure that out together. But I didn't have that bad of a week, so we got to round 8 here. I scored a 20.79, which was pretty good, pretty above average, I think. So yeah, that put me at 12k for the round and improved my rank. I went up a nice 4k, which is nice. So I'm now just outside the top 20,000 at 20,662nd, which is still not where I'd like to be. I'd love to be inside the top 20k, but look, we're getting there. We're heading there, and I'm about where I was 3 or 4 weeks ago before I slid huge. And yeah, I did that with some good trading. Unfortunately, traded out McKercher, who was good, and Jax as well, who wasn't, I don't think. What did he score? Or did he? No, he didn't play, that's right. And I bought in Retchko for a 51, which wasn't great, but he was just the must-have rookie, made me 63k, so I'm glad I went there. And I bought in Jarman Impey as my little unique, and he went 105, so I think that was a great play from me as a little unique. I had good weeks from guys like Newman, who is now being traded in by a lot of coaches this week. So he was fantastic. Dan Houston was good. Jack Sinclair saved himself. So my backline was pretty good. I had a nice vice captain on Zach Butters for a 112, which was terrific. But apart from that, my midfield was pretty poor. Gorn again saved himself for a 101. Cozzy 96. Connor McDonald 114 was elite. And Cook sitting there at F6 as a 92 was the most solid thing ever. But I did have some stinkers this round. I actually don't know how I scraped past. Some people must have had some pretty bad weeks. Archie Roberts 85, not good enough. Jack Steele 65, not good enough. LDU 79, not good enough. Eddie Brayshaw actually finally popped me a score 101, but still probably not good enough. Harry Sheasel 80, not good enough. Flanders 73, we're going to have that conversation because, oh boy. Even Chad Warner 83, I know that's kind of what he does, but geez, it's not great, is it? So yeah, that was kind of my week, and I didn't do too badly, which was good. Now, let me just figure out if I can try and get Casey's team in here. I'll go to our league. Apologies. And here we go. JHF Brownlow 2026. Not sure about that after the weekend. So let's look at Casey's team. He had the same Sinclair and Newman being good in his back line. Josh Dacos let him down with an 82 though. Now the problem for Casey here was he vice captained, as he said, on Friday. Horn Francis for a 66. Didn't go the Butters VC, which was a bold call from him. I didn't mind it. I said on Friday I didn't actually mind it. I think both of them should have been good, and Horn Francis was just poor, really, was the thing. And then rolled into his captain of ever so consistent Bailey Smith, and yeah, he just didn't pop one. His first score under a ton since round 0, since that 80, and really his first bad score for the year, I guess. So that was probably what lost it for him. Also had the Jack Steele 75, but yeah, Brayshaw popped the 101, which was good. Richards 105 was pretty good. He had Grundy for a 128, which was pretty good. Also had Cook on field. Also had Marshall on field though. So we'll definitely talk the Cook Marshall issue and F5, F6 where you want to be sitting them, but you can probably tell already that's probably not where we want to be sitting, is with Marshall at F6. I think that he can probably go for us now, but he has been good, so I was weighing up that decision as well, and I was meant to go Marshall and I forgot to change it, so thank God I didn't. Joshua Shelley, a 71 there for Casey as well, was not fantastic either. So that all brought him out to a 1945, which left him 50,000th ranked for the round, and overall leaves him 26,000th ranked, which yeah, he slid in 6K ranks. That's tough. Team value up to 23K, which is good, I guess. Mine's up to 22.8, so at least he's winning in that aspect. But yeah, yeah. There's some stinkers out there, and I think we're looking to do a lot of upgrading here. Um, yeah, I mean, we can go through the games, I guess. I did want to speak a little bit of strategy because I was thinking quite a lot during the week about uniques. Now, I've got a couple. I've got Brayshaw and ODU, who I've had all year, pretty much. I've just traded into Impy, who's been a unique. Who else have I got? Connor McDonald, I guess, is kind of unique, although, yeah, I guess so. 12% owned, 13% owned is pretty unique there as well. So I've got some unique players. I think that really, and a lot of them are letting me down. Really, LDU is letting me down. He's actually a test for this week against Sydney, which is really not great. I think that we're probably holding these guys until they're buy, and then I think with the 3 trades a week is probably when we're trading them out. That's my thinking around it. And we're probably just looking to upgrade around them, especially because we've got a lot of these rookies that are starting to get high break evens. You know, you look at your Farrow with a 71 break even there, Grill with a 71 break even as well, even Jai Sarong 65 break even. Not sure if he hits that. You look at who else have we got here. Jagger Smith has a 51 break even. Even Milan Murdoch's already gone up to a 44 break even. Leo Lombard, if you still have him, a 31 break even, and we know he cannot hit those sometimes. Todd Marshall, I think, has gone up to 70 something break even, possibly. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, 55 break even. So they're starting to get up there into areas where they might not hit them and start to lose cash. And we saw Grill do that on the weekend. So he lost 12K to go down to 560K with his 44. So anyone who traded him out last week, you've gained that extra 12K, and that really, because we started with these guys, that is what we're wanting to do with these rookies. Is kind of get them off at their peak and get them to who we can get them to. Now, obviously, you want to get someone good, and so that for this week, I'm going Marshall down to a rookie and Grew up to McCluggage, which leaves me 45K. So I don't have a whole lot to play with. I did save a bit of cash last week, but that is ideally a plan. Cumming is a bit of a inflated rookie, but I do like him as a rookie with a -2 break even. 86 last week with some CBAs, so he's definitely one I'm bringing in. I don't think it's too late for anyone else to bring him in. But yeah, I think we're just wanting to jump off these rookies before we're sidewaysing, and even probably the Colby move ended up not being a great one for me last week. Yes, I'm glad that I don't have him in my side anymore, but man, it's just I wish I'd gone off someone like a Grill, and I wouldn't have been able to get to where I wanted to get to, but I wouldn't have lost that cash, which again, 12K is not much, but now I'm kind of forced trading Grill because he'll probably lose a fair bit more, and I'm not able to trade someone like Farrow who has the same break even as him. So I think that's a bit of the strategy around this week with trading. So I just wanted to speak on that quickly, and I guess now we'll go through the games. I'm going to try and whiz through these, so we're not here for too long. It's underestimated how annoying it is, or not annoying, but how difficult it is to do a solo podcast, because you don't really get a gap to take a breath or to get a bit of a rest, take a bit of a time with your words. And I feel like I do talk very fast when I'm in that mode. So apologies, maybe you might want to slow down your podcast wherever you're listening to. But let's look all the way back to last Thursday, almost a week ago now, and we saw the Pies draw with the Hawks in a very interesting game. So top scorer for the Pies there, Nick Dacos, 124, was fantastic. If you took that VC, that's an absolute win considering what some other captain options did throughout the week. So that was good for owners there. Dan Houston as well at 118. He really loves to bring it home, doesn't he? 44 points in the last quarter. So both of them were excellent. And that was about it for the Pies in terms of excellence. So they're probably your passes and your excels. If we look down further to maybe some players who might have stunk it up a little bit, and that goes to Josh Dacos, 82. So he was quite poor with a 9-point last quarter after kind of looking like he'd head towards a ton. So sitting at 73 at 3/4 time. So yeah, he kind of stunk. He's highly owned, and like I think I said last week, I really think that the owners of Zorko in that week that we all went for these two players, or even maybe short owners, were probably the winners. But the Zorko owners, I think, have beaten out the Josh Dacos owners. Now, despite him being injured, it probably got you to someone better. Like that essentially was able to, down the line, get me Newman and Roberts in my back line through some other trading. So, yeah, not great from Josh Dacos. But again, you're just holding these guys that aren't performing well for you until the buys when we have 3 trades. And that's when we can be doing, downgrade, upgrade with a little sideways in there, is probably what we're wanting to be doing. Some other stinkers in this game. Angus Anderson kind of stunk. And I think I spoke on this on Thursday. I actually thought I had him on my side, and I didn't. It was the biggest like deja vu-ish, like kind of. I just had no idea what was going on as to why I couldn't find him in my side, which was very, very weird. But anyway, he stunk as well. And I guess the only other thing Collingwood to talk about is the ruck kind of thing. So Darcy Cameron did injure his ankle, but it looks like he could play this week still. So for anyone who is looking to go into Steen, who is 3 at 90k as a ruck forward, I don't blame you. It wasn't the worst idea. I mean, he has only popped one score above like a 52, which was at 72 in round 6 against Carlton. But you know, I mean, I guess it's been proven this year that a la Blackiston, you're not always going to score in that role, but he has shown a little bit, so it wasn't the worst idea in the world. But again, yeah, he mostly kind of played ruck anyway in this game and only scored a 45. So with Darcy Cameron probably playing this week, or at least a test, I don't think we can go there. Even if it was just a 1 week play, I didn't think we could go there. So that's about it for the Pies. Over to the Hawks, and we see at the top there, they actually scored pretty well. So 1672 points overall is pretty just slightly above average. So Connor McDonald was at the top with 114. He's been a super trade-in for me, and I really thought it was down in the dumps after that 66 against Port. So he's been fantastic with a 108 the next week against the Gold Coast and a 114 against Hawthorn. Let me just, sorry. I have to dive over my computer to make sure this is all still recording. Apologies. So yeah, 114 for Connor McDonald was fantastic. He's really showing his ability to get around the ground and take the marks with 7 marks. I mean, he had 28 touches. He did have 3 goals, which definitely helped him. And that, man, I was watching these scores. I didn't watch the game, but 21 and 11 in the first half. He was sitting on 32 at halftime. And I'm thinking, this has got 80 written all over it. And then he goes 38 and 42 in the last 2 quarters. And that was, I think, where he kicked his 3 goals, which was fantastic. Kicked one right at the end of the game there to kind of almost, I think it was to put them like 5 points behind. So he was fantastic in this game. And the Hawks are starting to show a bit of scoring power. With Carl Amon and Jarman Impey, I guess, up next with at 113 and 105. So they were the 2 defenders that scored in this fantastic Collingwood backline matchup, which is still the easiest matchup, although there are some teams catching up to them. They are a dark green, the Pies, for defenders. So trading into Impey at that 105 for me was fantastic. And honestly, neither of them would still be the worst trade-in. I mean, Carl Amon is still 839k, which is cheaper than what I got Impey for. He's got a lower break-even at 62, and he's just come off a 113 and a 119. So I think there's definitely worse players you could trade into. I think he could be a really good pick. If we look at the fixture difficulty table, their run is still very good. So they go green, yellow, orange, green, green before their bye. And then after their bye, they go light green, green, yellow, yellow, orange, yellow, red, orange, dark green, dark green. So they end the year with a nice little one there as well. So I think these Hawks are going to be good for the year. I'm happy to just lock them in as, I would be so happy if by the end of the year I've got, Impey and Newman sitting there at D5 and D6 and a full completed team. I think that would be fantastic. And obviously you can say the same for Amon. Newcomb was good in this game as well with a 110. So they were the 4 over a ton. Other names in this game, Jack Ginnivan has ended up being actually not a bad forward pick. I think we mentioned it somewhere around after round 4. And so round 4 he scores a 90, and then since then he's gone 113, 79, 99, and now 89 against the Pies, his old side. So he was good as well if you did go there. And then for draft owners, I guess only Dylan Moore, 66. He's getting very cheap for us. I say it every week. He's 772k now with a 106 break even. So he is going to get very cheap for us, which is handy. But let's go on to Friday night. We had a double header. We'll start with the Bulldogs and the Dockers. And for the Doggies, there was one man who excelled above the rest, and that was Bailey Dale with a 129. So he was fantastic with 32 touches, 7 marks, 5 tackles. With some big quarters in there, a 42-point quarter, a 32-point quarter, a 30-point quarter. So he had some great scoring in there, was taking a lot of kick-ins, and now has a 49 break-even. My concern with this is that it looks like Connor Buderick is going to be back this week, so I would be probably steering away from trading into him. If you did it last week, that kind of does suck, but we probably should have looked ahead to this, I guess, maybe. But yeah, I mean, 129 is great. He's coming off 2 tons before that as well, so that's now 3 tons in a row it puts him at. And we know he can score. He had that 49 touch game against Essendon last year, I think, where he scored like a 150 or something. So again, we know he can score. It's just a matter of can he do it with Buderick in the side, which when Buderick was in the side, if we look at his scores here, 69, 75, 59, 71. And I think he got injured in the Bombers or the Hawks game. Yeah, Bombers 71 and Hawks 80. So whichever one he got injured in, that was that. But yeah, Buderick back this week. So I think maybe we steer clear of him so don't get fooled by the good score. Other people who excelled, Matt Kennedy was back after a low score last week for 111. So great for my draft team. The Bont was also good again after rumours of him being injured. Well, not really rumours, he is. He played through it with a 106, had a 52-point first quarter as well, looked elite in the start. But the word is from Beveridge that he could be rested this week. Essentially, they rested Trelaw this week, and then we'll bring him back and rest Bont this week. So probably look to not trade him in and expect him to have a rest if you are an owner. I wouldn't be trading. It's been a bit frustrating with him, I guess, with that 28 being tagged, and now he's going to score 2 tons and then miss another game. It's not really what you want from your premiums, but look, he's the Bont. You're going to want to keep him. Even if you have to cover him with a rookie, you should be all right. Ed Richards as well, that was good. As I said before, they won 0-5. Riley Sanders, again, just getting it done. I mean, we talk about the Dogs, and they have all these midfielders that score highly. You know, Kennedy, Bont, Richards are those main ones. Sanders always just sits below him, but not far. So since his good form started and CBA's started, he's gone 109, 93, 79, 97, and now an 86 here. To get some hard matchups, you know, that's a 93 against the Hawks, a 79 against Geelong, a 97 against Sydney, and now an 86 against Freo. So he's been fantastic, and we kind of missed him in the forward line. It's probably a bit too late to go there now at 798k. But yeah, he was great. And Tim English was back as well, which is probably just one to note, I guess. So a 75 for him. He's going to get pretty cheap for us now with a 161 break even. And he's 984k already, so he's going to go down to about that 900k mark, I'd say, before he starts picking it up again. So the Dogs ruck run, they do go hard this week with Port, but then they go Carlton, who are dark green, they go Melbourne, who are light green, they go Collingwood, who are a yellow, and then Hawthorn, who are a red team. So they've not got a terrible run. I think we'll see him bottom out at about 900k. And look, if that gets us to the buys at round 12 there, round 13, I mean, we're probably not going to be wanting to trade into him with the round 16 buy. But, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world if you went off of McAndrew and went him, although he does have 2 red, 1 yellow, and 1 green matchup in the 4 games. You would get him for before his buy. So I'd probably be going more towards we're just going to upgrade McAndrew to like Sherry and Grundy and those types, maybe even Jackson, if he can keep, or if Sean Darcy can stay out of the side. That's probably more so where I'm heading. Yeah, English is not really on my radar. His scoring even before the injury wasn't that great anyways, with a 108 in round 0, 121 in round 1, 84 and then 51 in that game, and then out injured. So we're probably not looking at him. And there's no one really else that we're looking at in this game. Interestingly, Lewis Emmett did stay in this game despite Tim English being in. So he did have a couple of hitouts, wasn't very good with a 7 fantasy score for pretty much a full game, although he did spend a bit of time on the bench. But yeah, he looks to be chopping out English at the moment. So maybe English's scoring increases once we see the end of him. But yeah, and also just a stinker, Bailey Williams has been very good, averaging 91 for the year. But for draft owners of him, he just had a 47, which was pretty bad. But over to Freo, though, and we saw Luke Jackson top them again with 129. He's just so elite. That's his 4th ton in a row. And I mean, if we count 129 as 130, it's his 3rd 130 in the last 4 weeks. Interestingly, the one he didn't go in was the easiest ruck matchup in the competition in West Coast. So there you go. And if we look for Freo's run coming up, if you are looking to upgrade in the ruck, he does go Hawthorn, who are red, Essendon, who are yellow, St Kilda, who are red, Brisbane, who are yellow, North Melbourne, who are yellow, and then his bye. But after his bye, he goes green, 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 orange, red, green. So we can maybe be looking to upgrade. I think that's probably one where I'm really quite keen on post McAndrew if Sean Darcy can stay out of the side, because even with Cox in, who, you know, Jackson had 36 hitouts and even Mason Cox had 25. So if you know, he gets up there. And if we look at their CBA numbers, Luke Jackson as well had the 77 and Cox the 23. So it looks like Jackson is kind of more playing. I mean, I guess they're using him somewhat as a midfielder as well. They'd probably rather him in the CBAs. But yeah, Cox there with a few hit outs, although he's not scoring very well. But Jackson, fantastic. If you've held him and you have him there at R1, he'd be great. Or even R2, that'd be great too. Andy Brayshaw, 101, finally popped a good score for us as well. He's so up and down this year. It's so frustrating as an owner of him as a unique. Takes his break even down to 101, so hopefully he can make us up a bit of cash before we probably just trade him out in the buys. Again, he's one that, like I said, we're not looking to trade him out now. We're looking to get off our rookies, but we can definitely be looking to just sideways him to another premium, or even he can be an avenue to someone like a Nick Dacos if he becomes outreachable at that point of the buys. Other smaller names for Freo, Hayden Young is definitely a name we need to keep on the radar with his second 90 in 3 games for a 96 he had there. And he's looking like he's going to pick up forward status as well, which is going to be very handy. Has a great CBA role in his last 3 games that he's back. He's gone 48%, 58%, and now 51% in this game. So he looks to be a good pick if you did want to go there in the forward line once he gains that at the end of round 11. Murphy Reed, good with an 82. That was solid. And Caleb Sarong, quite bad with a 75. I think he did get some attention a little bit. I'm not sure who it was from, but he did definitely get attention for the 75. He's just too taggable this year, I think. Him and Brayshaw have really been letdowns. And I think the Freo scoring hasn't really been too much of an issue, but it's still kind of there. It was never going to disappear in like a year, I guess. But yeah, you're probably just... I mean, I don't know. With someone like Caleb Sarong, you might even just be looking at trading out now because he's under 900k. You could almost treat it as a bit of a mid-pricer type of thing. He's almost not even an underpriced premium because he's not scoring like one. He's averaging 92, which is not great. But yeah, again, you're probably, unless you really need some points on the board and really need to climb ranks, looking at taking him out of your side during the buys. All right, I've probably taken a bit longer than I should have with these games, so let's whiz through some more. We saw the showdown. I don't really want to whiz through this game because this was fantastic, and I want to talk myself up a little bit here because I mentioned, and I remember mentioning a lot in the preseason. I had the Crows out of our club previews, and I did say that Sam Berry was going to have a good year. I'm just going to quickly check what price he started at because he had a big 156 in this game. It was fantastic. He's been a great pick this year if you have had him. If you did listen to me, which I didn't myself, which is on me. Where do I find out how much money he's made in total? Match stats? No. I'm not sure. 187k he's made. So he was priced, what is that, around 650 or 660k at the start of the year, and he's now a 842k midfielder and has a 51 break even, so we'll go up even more. And he's shown that he can score like a premium, really. He's had some 80s and 90s in there, but a ton in there before in round 2 and now 156 here. I've really liked his year this year, so a little shout out to him. 2 50-point quarters there in the 3rd and 4th for him, so he was fantastic. And Wayne Miller has sneakily actually turned out to be a good pick. Round 1 had that 111, and we were all kind of talking about him. Then went bad with a 74 and a 68, and then has gone 98, 85, 117, 69, 110, which I think you would have to say is a success as a little bit of a unique but cheap mid-pricer defender. I think you've won that one, so that is good, and we're not probably looking to jump off him anytime soon. Braden Cook, take a bow. That last goal. Look, I'm a Carlton man. Casey's a Port man. My pretty much my whole family, except me and my dad, are Port fans. So I was obviously rooting for Port in this game, but Cook was pretty special at the end there with that 92. That was pretty good. And yeah, put him up to a 92 score, which I think the one thing that I've really nailed this year is my forward line. I think I set out whenever I traded Cozzy Pickett in, which I reckon was about round 4 or 5. I just said, you know what, I'm just going to complete my forward line. And then I was rounding it out with Cook and Marshall, upgraded a couple of weeks ago to McDonald just to have Cook there at the end and ideally loop him with Marshall. But man, am I glad I went Cook this week accidentally. And he'll stay there for me now at F6 with Marshall in my trade outs. So that's taken a real flip. And I think he can be happily sat there at F6 for a while. I guess maybe until his price drops out. I don't think there's too many other guys personally that I'm confident on. There's definitely guys that can score. We're seeing like Zach Bailey's, who I don't have up there, scoring. Isaac Rankin looks like he's about to come good as he's getting some CBAs, who I guess we'll talk about now at 91. But yeah, Cook I think is perfect there. I don't think you need to be upgrading that anytime soon. But yeah, Rankin, a 91 was fantastic from him. Had 73% CBAs, his by far highest for the year, almost double the percent he had last week at 41%. So he was fantastic, and if he can keep that, which it looks like he might possibly, because it seems that whenever Rochelle has under 40%, he has over 40%, and whenever Rankin has under 40%, Rochelle has over 40%. And the last 2 weeks, it's been Rankin quite confidently. They were both pretty even last week. Rankin 41 and Rochelle 38. And then this week, Rankin had 73 and Rochelle had 19, which left Rochelle down there at 71. So of the two, if you're looking to pick one up, I'd be picking up Rankin, who's just scored 91, who's 759k with a 63 break even. Then Rochelle, who's just scored 71, who is 803k with a 114 break even. So Rankin's definitely the better pick there if you were looking for either of those guys. And I think I'm pretty confident in saying that he will be. Although for the same reason I went McDonald over Rochelle a couple of weeks ago, I'm just looking to avoid these two because I think there will be a bit of seesawing. Rochelle will be back in there at some point. I don't think that it's probably safe for us to go here at all. So again, that puts proof to my pudding that Cook at F6 is just something we don't need to upgrade because you're probably upgrading into another problem. Lockie McAndrew sits there in the middle of those two at 81, and he was very good as well. You can definitely be keeping him there if you want in R2. There's no one really else for the Crows. Dan Curtin came back for a 41. He was a popular player in the preseason, so maybe we could see him get a bit cheap. And then as he builds up his CBAs, he could become somewhat of a player for us. Of interest, over to Port Adelaide though, the Crows proved themselves a green matchup for midfielders, so much so that this week they've actually overtaken Essendon. They are now an 86 green, and Essendon are still, as they have been for the last 3 weeks, an 84 green. So the Crows are now the easiest dark green team for midfielders, and we saw that with Ollie Wines at the top 118, Zach Butters a 112. We also saw Miles Bergman score a 101, so over a ton, although he didn't have CBAs. No, didn't have any CBAs, so he doesn't really count for that. Horn Francis was the other one with a 69 who had CBAs, so he was disappointing, really. If you traded into him off of his last three of 97, 126, 120, and then he now goes a 69, that's not great, really. But I think you just stick with him. It was a blip. In terms of Port midfielders, they actually have a pretty good run coming up. So they go orange, green, yellow, and then they're bye. So they should be all right from here on out. That green matchup is Gold Coast as well. So he should be good there. And Butters, obviously, 112 was fantastic too. So he was a great VC. He's really had a good month, to be honest. So from round 5 against the Saints, he goes 116, 125 against the Hawks, 88 against Mullen, which is really like a 120. And now 112 against the Crows. And again, has that same run as Horn Francis, where he goes Bulldogs, Gold Coast, and then Carlton. So not a bad run at all. Other names for the power there. There's not really anyone else, to be honest, except for Todd Marshall all the way down the bottom at 28. So he had a 0-point first quarter, a -3-point second quarter, nice 25 in the third quarter, got him back in the game, a couple kicks, a couple marks, and a tackle. And then in the last quarter, just had 6 points. So that took him to a 28. He was woeful. I got home at halfway through this game, and I actually asked my mom and dad if he was even playing on the ground. So that was about how that I think summed up his game. I don't even know if he played much of the first half. Well, this says he was on the field, so I guess he must have. Let's move on to Saturday, and we saw Essendon take on the Lions, and not very well because they lost quite a lot, but they did score all right, or some of them did. Peter Wright's at the top there. He's playing solo ruck at the moment. He scored a 121. His scoring's too sporadic for us to look at, and he's a 700k forward ruck, so he's probably a bit too expensive anyway, but good for draft owners, I guess. If you wanted a nice second ruck there on your bench, he wouldn't be the worst option. Zach Merritt's also just behind him on a 111. Again, that blip of a 62 and a 71 in his scoring takes away from the fact all his other games have been 112, 100, 122, 109, 151, and now 111. So he just has a couple games where he seems to just be an Essendon player, and for the rest, he's just Zach Merritt. So confusing there from him, but you're happy if you're an owner of him. Archie Roberts at 85, you're not happy if you're an owner of him after his hot run over the last month where he's only gone under 130 once, which is crazy. So he, was not good in this game. Well, 85 is not bad, but for a guy that you're paying almost 1.1 million for, not great. And now he has a 119 break even, which he absolutely could hit when he does play. Who's he played this week? The Giants. We saw John Noble go 144. There's no reason Roberts can't. And then he plays Freo, who have been a green matchup, but are getting a little bit harder. Then he plays Richmond, who are orange, but should be good because they're Richmond anyway. And then West Coast, who are dark green. So he does have a nice little month coming up. So I wouldn't be too concerned if you're an owner. Dyson Sharp. Oh my God. Fantastic. A 71 as a rookie is great. And maybe I'm a bit rose-colored glasses with this because he's been at my side since the start of the year. But 71 was great. And as Caldwell went down and kind of missed like most of the last half, played a bit in the third quarter, Sharp kind of took his scoring up. And in that last quarter where Caldwell wasn't there at all, he scored a 26. And he did have some CBAs as well, which was good. He had, where is he there? 76% CBAs, which is third behind Durham and Merritt, who were first and second. So great for him. I'll be honest, I don't think it's someone we can pick up as a rookie this week. If you're really looking there in the midfield for a rookie, I would just go down to basement, pick someone who's 230k this week playing, or under 300k, because I think it could just as easily go back to what his scoring has been for the rest of the year, which is 3 games. He's gone 50, 16, and 42. So I don't think you want to pay up for that. And he's only got a 13 break even. It's not like he's going to make cash quick. Sullivan Roby, another rookie, just a bit more expensive than Sharp, scored a 67, so you'd be happy with that as an owner as well. Jacob Farrow was a bit disappointing with a 53. Does have a 71 break even now, so that's not ideal. We're probably looking to jump off him soon. Although, again, he does come up against the Giants this week. Noble had a 144, so maybe we could see something from him this week. And then, yeah, Jai Caldwell, you just got to get out of this now, I think. He's given you the opportunity, although apparently he's like a test for this week, so he could be playing, which is a bit annoying for owners there. Apologies. Over to Brisbane. And we saw some scores here. Boy, did we see some scores. 8 tons. They almost scored 2,000 points as a team. 1924 they scored. So Darcy Wilmot, 134. Dane Zorko, 123. Will Ashcroft, 121. Zach Bailey, 117. Lockie Neal, 109. Hugh McCluggage, 109. Ryan Lester, 104. Kitty Coleman, 103 were all their tons. So Zorko, he's just back already. 123. And they didn't rest him. He played a little bit less time on ground than most, but still played 91 minutes, which was pretty good, and only only had 5 breaks on the bench, which is not terrible. So yeah, 123 from him was great, and he's still got a 140 break even, so he'll still drop a bit of cash, but he's going to get a bit cheap, hopefully under $1 million for us, so he could be a pickup, to be honest. If I look at the fixture difficulty table for halfbacks, Brisbane's run looks like it kind of greens up after round 17, so he probably won't be as cheap then because it is round 9. But even maybe you could pick him after his bye. He does, after his bye, go red, red, but then he goes yellow, green, yellow, 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 green, green, which is pretty good. So after those two, doesn't play a red matchup. And he actually does. He goes yellow this week and then red, and then he might be bottomed out, and then goes green, 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 light greens, but still green, then orange, then bye. So it's not the worst idea to start targeting him, I don't think. Will Ashcroft 121 was also good if you went there. It's a unique. He's actually had a pretty good year despite 2 scores in the 60s, which again, I've said he just does this. I owned him last year. He does it. But then he's gone, apart from those scores in the 60s, 109, 111, 127, 100, 131, and now 123. So he's elite. Plays Essendon this week, which is going to be so elite. Do they play? No, they've just played Essendon. They play Carlton this week, which is also probably going to be pretty elite. Although their green run kind of ends there. They then go red, orange, yellow, green, yellow, and then they're by the Lions, so not great for them. And maybe affects another midfielder we're probably looking at this week, which is Hugh McCluggage, and that's where I'm going because he's 806k. I think you don't even have to worry about the fixture when a guy is that cheap that has shown the scoring potential in previous years that someone like Hugh McCluggage has shown. If we look quickly at what he's averaged in previous years, McCluggage, how do I spell his name? There you go, McCluggage, double C. He's averaged in previous years 102 last year, 102 in 2022, a 99 in 2021, a 97 in 2024 even, a 91 in 2019, and 89 in 2023 are probably his bigger years. So he is obviously averaging 73.2 at the moment. So he's definitely value priced at that, like, 78, 80 kind of price. I think he could definitely go 100 from here on out. And yeah, other names for the Lions, Kitty Coleman was good with a 103 if you have ended up going there, but I don't think we're targeting that because he's just had too many 50s in there. Two of his last four games have been 50s, and then he's also got an 80 and a 103. Josh Dunkley as well just sucks, 90. In fact, I'm just going to tick him off our watch list for every week. We don't need to be talking about him because you shouldn't have him. He's bloody cheap though. He's almost under 800. He's almost as low as McCluggage is, and he hasn't even had an injury. He's just been that shit. So I think we're not looking at him at all, to be honest. And Zach Bailey there at the top there with 117 is one I perhaps missed. I wasn't keen on this after 127 last week, and he did kick 4 goals to do this, which is a concern, especially now that because they've had that kind of green run where their last month has been North Melbourne, Melbourne, Crows, Essendon. And now they still come up against Carlton, but again, like I mentioned before, they then go Geelong, GWS, Fremantle, Gold Coast. So not a great run, to be honest. But look, if you picked him, you're happy with this week, I guess. Over to the other Saturday games, we saw West Coast versus the Tigers. And this was pretty relevant for fantasy, more so rookies we were watching than anything. So for the Eagles, Elliot Yeo, if you went there for 104, was probably pretty good. Holly Reid for 84 was also good. And Tim Kelly there for 94 was good. So the Richmond led up a lot to midfielders because they were their main three in this game. Willem Dersma, again, the one we missed, 75 was fantastic. You're holding on to him if you have him. He's still making money up near 750k, which is elite. Bailey Williams, if you went there in the forward line, you're not mad with a 73, considering it's above what he is priced out of what you would have bought him for. So he takes his break even down to a 66 and gives himself an opportunity to make a bit of cash with a, from what I remember, a pretty green run. Yeah, so he goes red this week against, that's Bulldogs. No, even better. He goes light green this week against Melbourne. Then he goes dark green against the Giants, yellow against Collingwood, yellow against Essendon, red against Port, yellow against North, and then his bye. So not bad. But geez, after his bye, he goes dark green, green, yellow, yellow, green, dark green, yellow, green, red, and then it's the end of the season. So it's not the worst pick in the world, although we're probably not holding him for that long. But yeah, 73 was good. Milan Murdoch, 61 was a little bit disappointing, but you have to put in mind this is a rookie, and for this to be his lowest score of the year as a rookie is elite. So we forgive him for that. Hopefully he can do better next week against, who did I just say they were playing? I literally just read this out. I shouldn't need to go back and check it. Melbourne. He should be better this week against Melbourne. Josh Lindsay, a 60 was also fantastic. Not fantastic for owners, especially if you would have fielded him last week after his 97. But still, again, just a rookie. We got to remember that. And yeah, that's about it for the Eagles. Over to the Tigers. At the top there, we do see Noah Bolter, who's an interesting one. So 117, he kind of shared the ruck with Oscar Hayes-Brown, who had just a 28. And then I assume played defense for the rest of the game. So he was not bad in this game at all with a 117. He's a 545 defender forward. I don't think we're looking there, but maybe just keep your eye out. Definitely see if you can try and pick him up in your draft league on the bench if you have a spot available. But yeah, 117 was good. And Jack Ross has had a sneaky good season. From the start of the year, he's gone 93 against Carlton, 88 against Gold Coast, 75 against Freo, 64 against Port, 86 against the Giants, 123 against North, 69 against Melbourne, and then 103 against West Coast. So he's priced way too expensive now. But shout out Jack Ross, definitely a friend of the show. I think as if you were listening to us all the way back when we started round one last year. Sam Cumming, 86 was fantastic for those who picked him up. So if you're looking to pick him up this week, I still think he's a good buy. I'm getting him this week, so that will be good. Jaden Short, 82 is also good for owners there. If 82 is your second lowest score for the year, then that's probably a win. Then we had the two rookies that unfortunately I had down the bottom here. Patrick Reshko, 51, and Sam Grill, 44. So they were more than bad. They were pretty bad. But at least Rechko keeps his cash gen going, although it probably does slow it down a little bit to what we would have liked it after his 91 last week. And hopefully that doesn't mean that coming up at 86 this week goes down to a 52. But Grill just kills his cash gen now. He even lost cash, so I think we're looking to trade off him. Definitely Geelong versus North, and we saw a fair bit happen in this game in terms of tags. So let's talk about that first because we saw Geelong, Bailey Smith have a 71, and he got tagged pretty hardly at times by Jai Simpkin. So Smith had a 71 in that, which was not good. So Simpkin is definitely showing his flexing his muscles as a tagger. I think he tagged someone against the Lion. Yeah, the Lions. I think I even think he might have done a role in the Carlton game, from what I remember. So he definitely has the ability to do it, as does Finn O'Sullivan, who I don't think went to anyone in this game. But yeah, Baz was closely tagged. And we saw Oisin Mullen mostly go to Sheasel, which is it's what I thought would happen. I didn't really understand why people were talking about LDU during the week. I feel like Sheasel is like, if I was a coach coaching against North Melbourne, you're going to Sheasel. LDU is great, don't get me wrong, but Sheasel's a game changer. And based on what he's done for the, I mean, this is his lowest score for the year, which sucks, but yeah, it wasn't a hard tag, the Mullen one as well. Sheasel definitely had some time to get off him, but yeah, he went there. Although LDU still scored shit, which was bad. But let's go through the teams properly. Holmes, again, only had 30-something% CBAs for a 107. So he was good there. And he looks like at the moment, I think he's sitting around 30% defender time. So he is looking to hopefully pick up defender status. So he could be handy there if you do have him to swap him back. Wait, let me just double check his CBA numbers because I'm pretty sure he didn't have, 37% he had. So he hasn't had more than 40% CBA since round 4. So he's had now a month of pretty much no CBAs, which is interesting, or barely any CBAs. Tanner Bruin is showing he's possibly in contention for pick of the year, with a third ton in a row for a guy that we picked up at like 400, 500k. So 101, he was fantastic. And these two did it in a hard matchup against North Melbourne, which was really impressive, I guess. So kudos to them. And there's no one else really that we're looking at from the Geelong Cats. Over to North, and Tristan Sherry, 131, my God. After a 144 last week, is there a better way to come back from a 3-week suspension after wiping your blood on someone's face? I don't think I've ever seen a better comeback from that. I don't actually think I've seen anyone come back from that because no one else does that but Tristan Sherry. Weird act. 131 though was fantastic. He's definitely neck and neck with Grundy for if you wanted to upgrade in the ruck. I'm probably going those two over Jackson just because if Darcy is ever back, I think that you probably just want the safety of someone like Sherry or Grundy. Although I say that Sherry might wipe something else on someone's face. So sorry, that sounded really wrong. Anyway, McKercher 90. Not a great trade out from me. Not fantastic, but he still was playing half forward for a lot of the game, just found a way to score. So at least by principle of him not playing the half back role, I guess it was not bad trading him out. But you can hold if you have him. I'd be trading out these rookies that have the big break evens before I'd be trading out him. As I said before, Harry Sheasel 80 was disappointing. LDU 79 was disappointing. So the interesting thing for LDU, again, I think we're just trading him off on his bye. But North before their bye go red matchup this week in Sydney. But then he goes the Crows, the greenest matchup in the world, and then Gold Coast, who are also a green matchup. So he goes 2 very green matchups before his bye. I think I'm just holding him till then, and then I'm probably going to jump off and try and get him up. Is probably where I'm sitting. But 122 break even, it doesn't look like I'm going to get him traded out at much above 900k, unfortunately. Tom Myers was back this week for a 62, so that was all right for a bench rookie. He keeps his break even in the 50s, which is good. Cam Zerha, if you went there, it was just the shittiest pick ever, 55. Unless you got him somehow for that 113 because you had inside word, which I don't think many people would have. I don't think his ownership spiked or anything. He's now gone 250s, so it's an absolute failed Pickett. Pickett. You probably should have gone Pickett over Zerha, even though the cash was quite differential. Zerha sucks. And Doveston, another score that makes me happy. I didn't start with that guy, and I started with Cook instead. Really? Moving on to Saturday night, we saw Carlton get downed again because what's new in the world? St Kilda downed them. It's just depressing, really. I mean, I get it when a good club beats us, but fucking St Kilda. And they've four ex-Carlton players I had playing this game. It just pissed me off. Don't even get me started. Over to Carlton, though, and what you can get me started on is Nick Newman scoring a 122. I know I'm a Carlton supporter, so I've probably been hot on this guy for a bit longer than everyone else because I've, feel like I see a bit more, pay a bit more attention to the Blues. But 101.88 and 122 he's now scored me. That's an elite mid-pricer pick. And if you want an elite pick, he's still an elite pick. To be honest, at 829k, I think he can go 95 for the rest of the year. So he's good. They have had a bit of a green run, which does come to somewhat of an end now for the Blues. So it goes Brisbane this week, who are orange, and then Bulldogs, who are green, Port Adelaide, who are yellow, Geelong, who are red, and then Essendon, who are kind of a very almost light green, but probably yellow, and then into his bye. So it's a pretty average run up to the bye, but he has been good with the 122. It actually showed here that the defenders could score quite well against the Saints. Florent with a 105. Adam Chera played a bit of backline, didn't have many CBAs for a 92. Nick Haynes for a 91. But the midfielders didn't score very well because Sam Walsh was the highest scorer with 82. Jagger Smith did pick up some CBAs, which was good to see as someone who's held faith in. I've held faith in my blue boy, so he had 46% CBAs, which was nice for his 77. So that is good. Keeps his break even down at 51. We're probably trading out other guys over him, although he does have cash on his head. And the other midfielder was Paddy Cruz with a 48, who got tagged by Hugo Garcia in this game, so that's one to watch as well. For who they play this week, which is Gold Coast. So probably goes to an Anderson or a Rao, or even Petrarca. Actually, probably I would tag him if anyone. Other names there for the Blues, there's not really anyone. Although one to watch again with tags is that Cowan tagged Wanganeen Miller and tagged him pretty well. I mean, he kind of, I think he spent most of the fourth quarter on the bench with some kind of injury. I think I don't know. I haven't really heard much about it, but he didn't play for most of the fourth quarter, which was when Nasai had his biggest quarter with a 32-point quarter. So yeah, watch that. Watch for Cowan, who has Brisbane this week. I honestly think that they use this as a special thing for Nasai. I don't think they tag anyone from Brisbane. I think they probably just let their midfield go. Back Cripps, Walsh, Jagger, and probably Chera in. I don't know if maybe they bring Cooper Lord or George Hewitt back. God knows what they're doing with their side. Nothing will help at this point. But yeah, over to the Saints. Ryan Marshall was huge there at the top of the 124. Him and DeConning actually shared the ruck here really well, which was good to see. And Marshall, although I think he had less CBAs, did score better. He did kick a couple goals in this as well. 3 goals actually, mind you. So, yeah, he had 39% CBAs, 2 to Conning, 61%. So he was good. Nasai 104 was fantastic as well. Working through that tag, you'd be happy with a ton. Jack Sinclair 103, oh my God. 39-point first quarter, I'm thinking, fuck yes. Sinclair's back. 10-point second quarter, I'm going, okay, that's his bad quarter. He'll be fine from here on out. Third quarter, he scores a 3. A 3. This means that he's on 52 points at 3-quarter time, and I'm going fuck. Because Flanders was already stinking, who we'll get to in a second. And then he comes out of the gates and scores a 51 points in the last quarter with a bit of waxing there at the end once St Kilda had won it, which is exactly what I brought him in at the start of the year to do, is that waxing. So 103, you're happy with that. Although it isn't quite what we expect from him, it's probably a bit unders. You'd want the 110, but considering what he did during the game, a 51-point last quarter is nice to get him back there. Cal Wilkie as well, 95, lower than what you would have paid for, which is the unfortunate thing of paying up for these guys if you have done that in the last couple of weeks. But 95 is not the worst score in the world. And Brad Hill's getting a bit of traction now as well with a 95. So if we look at his scores for the year, he hasn't gone below 80. So from round 0, he's gone 89, 110, 84, 80, 95, 91, 102, and now 95 again. And if we look, I guess he plays kind of on a wing, but I would say he scores from a half back. And if we look at St Kilda's next 4 weeks, it is kind of a light greenish run for the Saints. So they go yellow, orange, green, yellow, orange, green, green, and then they're round 16 by. And then if we look at scoring for wingers, I guess if you want to go there, it goes green, green, orange, orange, red, orange, orange by. So he could score all right. I don't think I'd be doing it at almost 900k. He is a forward, which is handy, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking for someone consistent, then maybe you can go there. Philippou 78, he's put together a couple of okay ones now, especially for his price. Price down there at about 619k he is. Sam Flanders sucks. 4-point first quarter. He is the biggest free ride in my side ever. So, I mean, I'm not looking to get off him, but man, if you wanted to be a bit unique, I would not blame you. Because for Saints mids, and actually, by the way, I don't even think we can talk about him as a mid because he did only play 25% CBAs. Windhager actually took his CBAs with 64%, but he scored even worse, a 57. So that was bad. And Jack Carroll, the other name there, a 60 for the Saints. All right, let's get through these last couple. Sydney versus the D's. And for the Swans, it was a nice little win for them. Although the D's, credit to them, they brought it up to them. Big score of this one on the scoreboard. And for the Swans, really. So Grundy up there with a 128, just elite. If you weren't there, ever gone, well done. I didn't, and it sucks. Callum Mills has put together a sneakily good season, although this is his first game every time, but he's got a few 90s and 80s in there, which is good. 111 for him. Isaac Heaney, 110, just continues to be consistent. Has scored a ton every game he's played since round 4, which is good. So he can definitely be an option if you're looking for a... if you can't quite get to Dacos or to Bailey Smith, I really don't mind going Isaac Heaney. I think he's actually a good pick. So if we look in the midfield for Sydney, yeah, the run's not great though. Orange, yellow, orange, by. It's not fantastic. So maybe take back what I said. But I still think he's a good pick. Malcolm Roses had 7 goals and scored a 102. So well done, Malcolm Roses. He is kind of almost, up from rookie price. I think he might have been rookie price to start the year. So well done if he went there, I guess. He was a forward rookie and has probably done better than fucking Lombard. So well done. Justin McInerney rewarded his owners back with a 99, which was good to see as well. Chad Warner, 83. Not quite the 121 he went last week, but is kind of in line with what he's been scoring since round 2, where he hasn't gone below 82. So yeah, not mad at this at all. Jai Sarong, the only other relevant name there, with just a 65, and again takes his break even up a fair bit now to, where is he there in my defense, 65. So you think he probably hits that. I mean, 60 is kind of, this kind of 65 is his floor. So you probably think he hits that. For the D's, Max Gawn, fuck, he saved this. I saw a video of him yawning on the bench. So I think it's only right I saw some people giving him the name Max Yawn, and I think that's pretty accurate. So Max Yawn, a 101 for him after 19 and 7 in the first 2 quarters, and then 34 and 41. And it seems the D's do like to use him at the end of a game, especially if it's on the line like it kind of was in this one. So he had a whopping 22 hitouts to Heath's 16 hitouts, even though if we look into the CBAs, Max only had, 48% to Heath's 53%, so it was pretty 50-50. And Max did actually kick a couple of goals in this, I think, which was handy. And plays West Coast this week, so really either way, he either gets a really nice ruck matchup, or he gets a really nice forward matchup where he could kick some goals. So I'll watch for that. Tom Sparrow has been good again this week for a 101, so he was fantastic if you went there as a forward pick. Well done. Cozzy Pickett also good with a 96. I think James Jordan tried to run with him a little bit in this game, but it was a light tag. It wasn't quite as hard as Jordan usually goes. Don't know if that was because they didn't try to go too hard or because no one can catch Cozzy. But yeah, he was good with a 96. Caleb Windsor, good again with a 73, although I will remind everyone, round 3 and 4, he goes 96 and 71 after some bad scores, then goes 45-48. Right now, he's gone 88 and now 73. I think he's about to drop. So I would be trading out of this one the same way you would be a rookie, although if there's a couple of rookies that you want to go over him, I completely understand that. Jack Steele could be another one that we're trading out of the buys, to be honest. 65. Hasn't hit a ton since round 5. That's 3 weeks in a row now with no ton. He's been pretty poor. So yeah, we can probably be looking to move on him in his, when do they have the buy? His round, 16 buy. That means we've got to hold him for a fair while. Shit. Gold Coast Giants was the end of the round, and this game kind of sucked for me because I had no one in this game, and I was ranked about 2k for the round, looking really good. I think I was down to about 12k, which was like a big, I think I would have, jumped like 12k spots, would have halved my rank. And then, there were some big scores by some relevant players. So John Noble was the big score, not quite a relevant player, but 144. Luckily, I had him in my draft team, but oh no, I put him on the bench. I mean, to be fair, I had Josh Dacos and Nasiah on field, so you probably are just fielding them. I don't think that's a decision anyone else wouldn't have made. But 144 is elite, and I guess maybe this means that Giants are getting easier as a defender matchup. If you look at how much easier they've gotten, last week they were a 61 yellow, they're now a 65 light green, and they started the year as a 49 orange. So yeah, they're getting much easier. They had the highest So defenders against Giants scored the highest this week. So yeah, Noble 144, Yulin there with a 112, Powell kind of a wing halfback 109, Joel Jeffrey 109 as well, Lockie Weller again a kind of a wing halfback 98, Mac Andrew even as like a key defender 96, although he did get some ruck time as well. Dan Rioli even 89, and he doesn't score very well. So yeah, defender scored well in this one. Christian Petrarca was the only one who wasn't a defender up there, though, with a 117. Again, you're happy if you went there. If you really, really want to get there to just finish off your forward line, I think that's the guy you go. That's the guy I'm missing in there at the moment, and I just can't see myself getting from Cook to him. So that's the struggle, because I'd need like almost 400k, but yeah, he's a great player, great fantasy player. Noah Anderson 92 was not terrible without being fantastic, so we're just not thinking about him at all. Took Miller 86 as well. Not great. We're not thinking about him either, despite him picking up the forward status a few weeks ago. Some people were talking about him. Leo Lombard 63. That's super solid from him. It's his second highest score of the year. So if you did have to field him, well done. Lucky. And that's about it for the Gold Coast. I did mention Ugelhagen last week because he is a bit rookie price, but he again scored 46. So we're just going to wipe him from our watch list. And last one here, the Giants. Top scorers for them. So Lockie Whitfield was good with a 113. And then we had a few midfielders. Clayton Oliver, 104. Callahan, a 100. But also Lockie Ash, a 103. And he did have about 60%, I think 64%, 61% CBAs he had, which was very interesting. He did have 28% in round 6 against the Swans and 19% in round 1 against the Dogs. So he has done it before, but he was like the third midfielder, essentially. So he had more than Toby Green only had 9% CBAs. Xavier O'Halloran was the other one to get above 40% CBAs in this game. So it went Oliver, Callahan, Ash, O'Halloran in this one. So yeah, Ash still scored well in the midfield. I'd rather, if I were an owner, I'd rather him be playing off half back. But look, those four at the top there, Whitfield, Oliver, Ash, Callahan, you're giving them all a tick. They're all great. And I think that you could be targeting all four of them, to be honest. They do have that good buy. I don't have any of them, so I think I need to probably start. They're probably who I'm going to. So for those guys that have a buy in round 12, which will be LDU, that's probably where I'm looking to go up to, someone like a Callahan or an Oliver, or switching back to defense and go Ash or Whitfield. Port Adelaide. I don't know if you're wanting to move. You're probably not wanting to move off of Zach Butters, to be honest. Gold Coast, we probably don't have anyone, but if you do still have a Noah Anderson floating around, you can move off him. And Adelaide, if you wanted to get off like a Jordan Dawson, maybe you could do that. A Wayne Miller could probably go at that point, and you could upgrade to a Whitfield or Ash. So there's plenty that we could do there. I don't know what I'm thinking. You'd want to be getting them off there by. Completely ignore everything I just said. You would want to be getting off guys from Carlton. So if you want to get off Nick Newman at that point, or a Sam Walsh, you could go to either of those four. Collingwood, Dan Houston maybe, although he's scoring pretty well at the moment, so you're probably just keeping him. Freo, man, Brayshaw to Callahan looks fucking fantastic. Sarong to Oliver, great. If that was 2 of your 3 trades, I would be happy with that. And the Hawks, I mean, maybe Impey could be one to go up to Whitfield or Ash if I get a bit scared out of that uniqueness. So there you go. I fixed it for you. I was doing the wrong buys the wrong way around. Other names in here, as I said, Green didn't have CBAs, but if you had him for a 76, you're happy with that, considering you didn't have a CBA. Xavier O'Halloran had CBAs, but just a 58, so he's nowhere on our radar. And then we looked down at a couple rookies, Phoenix Gothard for a 44, and James Leake for a 39, so not great for them either, although James Leake still makes a little bit of cash. And just the ruck situation in this game was interesting. So you had where is he? Yeah, Ned Moyle took most of the ruck here with a 78 for the Gold Coast. And Mac Andrews took a bit as well for a 96. And then we saw Briggsy obviously take some ruck for a 29, but also Lear took some for a 51. So there's some interesting ruck things going on. This is probably the most crazy ruck stuff we've seen, as in like players who don't usually play it are playing it. So yeah, odd. But there you go. That is round 8. And just to recap my trades for this week, I am going Grill and Marshall out to McCluggage and Sam Cumming. There is possibly a world where I trade Farrow instead of Grill because of the cash on his head and go up to someone that's not McCluggage. But I think I flagged McCluggage a few weeks ago now, probably a bit too early. So I do like him. I know he's going to be a popular trading target. In fact, he is second on the trading targets, and Cumming is first. So I'm pretty much doing the most non-unique thing this week. But after doing Impy next week, I feel like that is pretty okay, because I didn't realize how non-owned Impy is. It was a really quite an interesting call, because he's only just crossed 1% ownership as I've traded him in. So yeah, other popular tradings, people are trading in Toby Murray, which I guess is someone we didn't mention when we are doing the Crows. So he's a 306k forward, did play a bit of ruck time, and now with Tex out, I think he really does have some upside. So if you wanted a rookie, I really like him this week at 306k. Nick Newman's being traded in, love that. Bailey Dale, I would go to Nick Newman if you don't have him, or I'd just try and get up to like an Asher Whitfield, one of those premiums. And top traded out, it's rookies. Grill, Farrow, Jax, Jagger, Sarong. You can't go wrong trading any of those 5 out. But I think if you have Grill and Farrow specifically, or obviously someone like Jax who's not playing, then I think Farrow and Grill are probably the 2 priorities, because they have a 71 break even. Whereas I could see Jagger hitting 51, and I could definitely see Sarong hitting 65. So I think you're probably holding those 2, if anything. But they obviously do have cash on their head. They're both over 600k, over 640k. In fact, they're pretty much the same at 641 and 642. So you can be holding them. But yeah, that's about it. Casey will be back on Friday, so we'll see you then. But in the meantime, go over and follow us on Instagram at offthemark.fantasy, and you can check all our podcast episodes out from the past and the future on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and over on our YouTube page, also at Off the Mark. Yeah, that's about it. So hopefully your trades this week and your team was on the mark and not off the mark. That's the way it goes, isn't it? Sorry, I don't usually do that part. I hope it was on the mark and not off the mark. And yeah, we'll be back on Friday to go preview round 9. Yeah, see you then.